Welcome back to the All New Nerds channel. I'm here, Levi. I am Gibbs, and we're here to talk about the new House of Dragons episode that just came out
House of the
just
Dragon
about an hour and a half
episode.
ago. So this is our immediate reaction.
Yeah, I am not in my usual place, but I wanted to get. I had to react to this.
We had to talk about this episode.
I have to
talk about this.
I have a little rudimentary setup here, but this episode was just so good.
It's great.
I have to talk about it. It blew all of my expectations out of the water. All of the actors, the new actors, delivered on their performances. They sold me on the characters, all of the development, paying off the whole strong storyline. Like we saw them in episode 3, we saw them in 5, and like they come into their own in 6. Like Harwin and Lionel and Lyris, I think that's his name, Lyris. All of them, the little seed throughout the series, like that last week. But when we talked last week, it's like, man, who was that guy who pushed himself through the crowd and just like picked up Rhaenyra?
Yeah,
that was the future father of her children. Is who?
Yeah,
and like putting that together and recontextualizing. I don't know. It just was good.
It was good. Yeah. So I say before we get into it, I think this episode is very much treated as a second pilot, as they say in the inside the episode towards the end. I think honestly it could have benefited from them taking a couple of weeks off. I don't know, hot take.
Maybe. I think that's a hot take, but
not that I wanted to wait, but it like almost felt like we're like they hit the reset button just a little bit. They're like setting up the next arc of the show, and that was just something I was thinking during the episode. But yeah, new actors. Me and Levi were talking sort of a couple days ago. We're nervous about the new actors. Is it going to be able to hold up? Like, is this the make or break episode of the show? I think it might have been.
I think it was,
and I think it absolutely stuck the landing. So
all of Alicent's kids are so weird.
Yeah, I guess we just get right into the classic masturbating off the side of King's Landing. Same window that poor Tommen jumps out of, and I just love the juxtaposition.
What a freak!
Like,
I love their daughter
princes
too.
Just don't know what to do with with this window.
No
one's ever just gonna look out of it.
She only had one scene, but I totally I love the daughter. Like they're one.
Yeah, she's just like weird.
But I think is she a seer? Is she? I sort of got the vibe that maybe she's able to see. The future.
Yeah, maybe. I thought maybe she just had some mental problems. I wasn't sure.
Some mental problems. I don't know if they were, because
I mean, she was just weird. Like, I don't know, she's antisocial. Like I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? They got weird.
I think we'll find out more about that.
They got weird blood. They're like, oh yes, this is my cousin's kid that I'm marrying. Like in Daemon's case, it's like my cousin's child is who I married. Oh, thank you, Nathan. And then in Rhaenyra's case, like they want to marry their kid and grandkid together, like Viserys. Like it's like what? It's so weird. So the bloodline's a bit
yeah, definitely kids. This is the kid episode. Usually not a fan of the kid episodes, but
I was a big fan. That's means right off the bat it starts with Rhaenyra giving birth in a harrowing scene, one shot, one long take.
Absolutely, in the course of about 10 minutes, only 2 shots, and we get to see an entire childbirth, and then we get to see her walking through the entire of like a very humiliating scene. Like this whole time, I'm like, Alicent is just like cruel now. Like she's making this woman who just like had a kid like walk through like public, like bleeding, like on the ground, just like.
Well, her and Kristen are on their villain arcs.
Villain.
Kristen especially. I wasn't expecting how evil he would be.
Yeah, like he's just bad guy now. Like he's like just like cussing out like Rhaenyra like big time. Two offensive words even to repeat.
I know to say on YouTube.
To say on YouTube, he's mad. This was such an honorable guy. Now he's just like
the Game of Thrones man. Like you would never expect meeting that character, a guy like that, to take a hit. Take the beating for political purposes, and that's as they said in the post, the post show there, like he was. They're all just playing the Game of Thrones right now in a pretty intense way.
Except for Viserys. Viserys is still just like
poor old man
and just like hoping that like things don't.
Building his Legos.
Still, like one of my favorite scenes, just when they start talking about the stepstones again, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah, he's like,
not again." And also, just I love when Rhaenyra sort of proposes the wedding, and he's like, a judicious
proposal.
Like, he's so happy, he's so pleased with it. Great character, man. Top tier Game of Thrones character.
You think he dies next week?
Probably. He's not doing well. I actually am like shocked how well he is doing. They sort of just like brush over whatever his issue was, like so bad that he sort of collapsed and was on like death's door in the last episode. And it's been 10 years, and like
he's not looking great. He looks
no,
pretty
but no,
haggard.
he looks horrible, but he seems like healthier in terms of like he's not like coughing, and I don't know what happened.
I don't know. He like looks like he's about to turn into dust.
Yes,
like Allison has to carry him around and like put the blankets around him, and he literally says it's like a miracle I can go to the bathroom alone.
Yeah, he's old and decrepit. He won't be around for too much longer, I don't think. No, I just this whole episode, like it was slow at parts, slow, but no, still great, like exposition. But then like towards the end, it really like so much like actually happened.
Paid off within the episode itself.
Like so much sort of was like set up. Like the plot actually moved forward like big time here, because just one episode we sort of see Daemon and Rhaenyra sort of take their spouses, and that sort of fizzles out very quickly.
Yeah, but both of them dying by fire, and the parallel, so many parallels in this week episode, both between. I mean, and they mentioned this is all just mentioned in the post credit, but it's pretty apparent.
They sort of do our job for us, but
yeah, but it's pretty apparent when watching the episode. Like Daemon is faced with the same choice that his brother had. Then both of them get killed by fire.
I do you think that he was like? I don't think he was going to do it.
No, I don't think so either. I think because I think in that moment, Daemon is such an interesting character to me because every time we meet him, there's been a time jump, so it's hard to understand the development he's undertaken. And this week, it really felt, because they even say it in the post show, that when Aemma died, he made fun of it. He was a joke to him that happened, and he was still there, and he was like, whatever, I don't really care. And when he's faced with that exact same choice, like the look on Matt Smith's face, and he's like, you see him like shake his head, like he can't do it. And I don't think he would have. And I think he was running out to Vhagar to stop her from killing herself, which was just a crazy scene.
Fantastic scene. Vhagar, like coolest dragon we've gotten in Game of Thrones like ever. He's huge, but also he has all the like seaweed like draped over him, like just awesome dragon. He's gonna be big in the next episode for those who watch the promo.
But, I mean, like, so he is he? How old is he? Is he like 100 years old or something like that?
He's an old dragon. He's been kicking around. I'm not sure why she rides him. Like I guess maybe Corlys is like too old now to ride him.
Yeah, we didn't see Corlys the Sea Snake this episode. So
I imagine he's sort of getting old too.
Well, but then he'll be in Driftmark, and so we're in Pentos when we're following Daemon's storyline. And I lost track there of my train of thought. But Daemon, talking about reading Daemon, like he seems to genuinely care at least about his one daughter. You know, like teaching her to read and stuff. Like the way. Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard to read him. Daemon's, it's so hard to read.
Like seems a lot like of a better person this episode. Like strangely, and I don't know if that's gonna like revert, but. Seems like the last 10 years he's sort of just like he's sick of the politics. Like he is the one who's like, yeah, let's just like
leave,
be rich, and just live like in this like luxury.
I know. I wasn't expecting that from him.
Yeah.
And I guess the moral of the story is don't be Daemon's wife. Ever.
But I don't know. He was more faithful to her.
I know. I'm just making a joke just because it's like we've had 2 back-to-back weeks where the directors have referred to Daemon's story as a short film about his
wife's. Yeah, his wife's end. Very much operate as a short film over there in Pentos.
It's just cool. Like I don't know. There's nothing really. It's hard to analyze anything other than how masterfully it's made. Like it's so good. It's just good. Like
the show has been incredibly consistent. Every single Sunday, I know I'm tuning into like an hour of very good television.
Have you seen the rumors that Henry Cavill and Elizabeth Olsen have been cast as older versions of some of the characters in the show.
I didn't know that, but Henry Cavill in Game of Thrones sounds awesome.
Henry Cavill potentially might be playing an older Aegon, but
interesting.
In like 20 years' time, like 30-year-old Aegon is freaking Henry Cavill. It could be cool. Could be cool.
So let's talk about the kids here. I thought it was a great scene when they're out there.
The dragons.
Sort of the duel. Very similar to season 1 of Game of Thrones, where we sort of see Joffrey and Jon Snow.
Can we before we go there? Speaking of people named Joffrey, I love how quickly Laenor was like, "We're naming the kid Joffrey after my murdered ex-lover. Your ex-lover killed mine." That his whole depiction, I really appreciated. Their Rhaenyra and Laenor's relationship, and because that's how we start the app, and he approaches her the way that whole conversation where he's like, "Oh, was it painful?" And she's like, "Yeah, idiot."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, well, I took a lance through his shoulder once." She's like, "I don't care." He goes like, "I would hate to be a woman." It's like just but you can tell that he's not. It's sort of they're ribbing each other. Like they have this understanding and they've had it for so long. And I buy their dynamic. And by the end, when Rhaenyra is like, "You should bring, your guy," it feels like a genuine gesture because I think they really have it in there.
It is. But Rhaenyra is being stupid here. She seems a little too smart to just be pumping out bastards. I don't know. Obviously, she's a type too. She's into the City Watch guys.
Yep,
really into the Knights.
Knights.
Yeah, we don't really get to see too much of their relationship. They sort of just
we saw them
in these 10 years. They sort of just fall in love.
We saw them lock eyes at the hunt way back when.
Yes,
that was a scene that they made important. And then we see. I think the biggest indication is the way he, picked her up and hauled her off during the brawl and during the wedding. And that whole interaction, I think, will, in retrospect, means more. Probably is the spark of where they connected, because he saved her, and that was just such a bad moment for Kristen. That was literally Kristen's weakest moment too, and I love. And I could just talk and talk and talk. I would never expect when starting the show that Kristen would be such a hateable guy, because I liked him so much, and now I hate his guts. I hate that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's on the Tim arc of Andor here.
He's on the Tim arc. I don't know. I didn't want Tim to die, whereas I want Kristen to suffer a little bit.
I wanted Tim to die, but everyone wanted Tim to die.
Rip Tim.
Yeah. No, really, in just one episode time, we just see him become just a jealous.
It's a testament to the performance.
Yeah, and interesting that they keep him the same actor here, because I didn't think that he looked any older at all. I think they could have done a better job aging him up. I guess
they aged Harrowin pretty well. At first, I was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, he has a beard now." The way he looks older.
It did take me a minute to figure out who he was.
Strong's kid, Lionel Strong.
Initially, I thought that new Allison actress didn't look old enough, but I think she does after watching the episode. I think I came to terms with it more. New Rhaenyra, she did a very good job.
Yep.
It's believable to me. It took 3 minutes for me to just be like, okay, that's Rhaenyra now.
That's Rhaenyra, yep.
She looks very similar. I think she still has very similar cadence.
I do miss Millie Alcock, though.
I do, too.
She was so good.
I assume she'll be back in the flashback scene, perhaps in season 2.
Perhaps.
Either way, we'll be seeing her in the film industry, I'm sure.
Well, anyway.
Even though, I don't know if she, sort of hates, the fame. I don't know if you've, read any of her interviews.
Does she really?
Yeah, she's been talking about how she just absolutely despises being popular now. So, interesting side note.
Well, I mean, she's literally our age, so I can't imagine what that's that kind of exposure might do.
Yeah, it's sort of sad, actually. You should look into it.
I will. I might. But the what's it called? Yeah, you wanted to bring up the kids. The kids they are the focus of the show going forward. They said that. And I think the first real scene with the kids is that dragon scene before we get to the courtyard. It's the dragon hunting, which I loved. Just the ambiance of the dark pit. It's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I wonder if people are going to say it's too dark, because even on my big TV in the dark, I was struggling to see a little bit. But then that makes the sort of the flame,
the fire,
that much more interesting. It wasn't too dark for me. maybe on some TVs. But it's still just a fantastic scene down there in the dragon pit.
And
Scary.
you instantly get how much of the dynamics between them just by the way they're carrying themselves, which once again is a testament to the performances by these kids. Which one of which is David Tennant's son. He's playing Aegon,
Interesting.
the oldest one. The Tom and
Another Doctor Who connection here.
Yeah, many Doctor Who connections. But he, like, yeah, just the way you just look at them in a frame of a still image and you understand the dynamic between all of those kids. It's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, and the pink dread. Good bit.
The pig.
The pig. And the goat, the sacrificial lamb, getting absolutely.
I know the way the goat just like stared down the dragon. Like,
yeah. Rip goat. Yeah,
I'm surprised it was good.
Great scene. You were surprised, you said.
Well, just the way that I didn't realize how, even at this time, because obviously we know by Game of Thrones, the dragon hatching is incredibly rare, almost to the point where people don't even believe dragons exist anymore, if they ever did. For some people, they're like, I don't believe it. But even now, how it's like half and half thing, that like you really gotta. Some kids just don't get it, like, because they're all meant to be born with an egg, but some kids just don't get one because the egg just doesn't hatch. And I didn't really anticipate that sort of dynamic between the kids of like, oh, you get a dragon and I don't, and I didn't anticipate that kind of rivalry, but it makes sense for the show. It's fire and blood. It's House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, if all my siblings had a dragon,
I'd be mad.
I'd be mad. Yeah, and that's not just between the the Targaryen kids. It's over happening with Daemon's
Valyrian,
like children too.
Well, because they're all technically the House of the Dragon, right?
Everyone wants a dragon. Yeah,
technically
they are all Targaryens. Yes,
House of Valyria, the old Valyria.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just want to say, the soundtrack or the score during the scene where Lena is
self-immolated
alive.
Yeah.
Fantastic scene right there.
Good,
really
good.
Thought that was fantastic. Actually, my favorite part of the episode, that or the very beginning. But I think one thing
I'm gonna get down on this level so I can see my whole head.
Yeah. The one thing we haven't talked about is Larys, the new sort of villain of the show, who sort of emerged like last episode, comes like a full blown villain at this point,
which I loved because the groundwork is there in the previous episodes to establish him as this like scheming guy or someone with the potential to, because he is the way he is. He's people underestimate him. He's not. They're assuming, and he has this ability just to take in information because he's unburdened by the sort of political desires of everyone else. So he can slip through the cracks, so to speak. Because we see that a lot at the royal hunt, and obviously last week talking to Alicent, dropping information very judiciously, to borrow a word from Viserys. It's like, oh well, it'd be crazy if Rhaenyra was out last night. It's such a shame I'm wrong, or all that stuff.
Yeah.
We saw him manipulate Alicent back then.
He's tricky.
He's a tricky guy. He's a tricky guy.
Yeah, so
they literally call him like one of the main villains of the show.
So he goes down some prisoners and sets them to go set Harrenhal on fire. Great to see Harrenhal again.
Which is Harrenhal where Arya was in like
that's where
the Faceless Man.
That's where and where
I haven't seen that in so long, but I was like
where Tywin
was
and Arya was a servant. Like really cool castle.
I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like I know this, and I'm like, it's that, right? It's that. I couldn't quite.
So cool to be back there, I would say. But yeah, like very 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 tricky by Larys here. He's gonna emerge as sort of the main villain of the show, and he's sort of just like is riding with Alicent. I don't know.
Well, now it seems like Alicent is sort of trapped by him.
Yeah, well, I guess that's sort of the turnaround in this episode. You think Alicent's gonna be sort of evil, and it's more so now it's she's sort of she did not want anyone to die there. She didn't realize, I think, the stakes of the game she was playing. But now her dad's gonna move up to Hand of the King, most likely.
Otto's coming back, round 2.
Yep, Otto's coming back, and they're gonna make their play for the throne. Yeah, next episode should be great. I think this was set up everything very well. Lots of action though.
I'm very excited for Rhys Ifans to come back as Otto Hightower, because I loved his send off last episode, and the way at the end of the episode where they established the Hightowers is we're out for blood now. We're playing the game. It's cool. It's
Do
cool.
you think
It's just
that he wasn't available for No Way Home because he was filming this show?
oh right, because he's freaking
He's Lizard.
he's
Yeah,
a lizard too.
he's Lizard.
I always forget that.
That sort of came to mind during this episode
Probably.
for some reason.
If I was him, I'd be filming this instead.
I would too. This is better.
maybe this episode when he's not there is when he filmed
Yeah.
whatever he did, or like his voiceover, his VO.
Yeah, he did one voiceover. Yeah.
That's
I don't
funny.
know.
I forget that he's a lizard. I always think of him. That's funny.
I don't know if there's much more to say about this episode. I think we covered everything.
Other than that, it's great.
Other than, well, I think we mentioned that.
I think we mentioned it once or twice.
So overall rating on this episode.
I mean, this to me is like just like last week. It's 9 plus material. Like this is, I can't really find any flaw with it other than maybe it's not as action packed, but I'm still enjoying it. Like, you know, the best Game of Thrones episodes usually have a blend of the politics and a huge battle. I mean, we didn't really talk about the courtyard scene, but I thought the courtyard scene was just a masterclass of the way Game of Thrones. What I'm just saying, like you have literally Viserys and Lionel watching, those characters, those dynamics happening. He tries to resign later in the episode. You are watching the power struggle between the High Towers, the Targaryens, and the Strongs play out on this mock battlefield. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that the
really,
kids
really
sort
well
of
done.
had this rivalry, and it's just what they've been born into. Like their parents were just pitting them against one another.
And shout out to the younger Rhaenyra's kids who really put up Jace, or I think that's his name.
Jaceres,
Jaceres really put up a good fight against Aegon, and I gave him a run for his money. Like I bought that fight. I appreciated.
Wonder if we get some foreshadowing there if we're going to see him square up at any point.
Probably.
Also, though, I'm interested if Rhaenyra, actually, never mind. I do know what happens, but she's going to need to have a kid that is not a bastard at some point. So,
yep.
I don't think Jaceres and the other kid are going to live for very long.
Hey, for Daemon, you know what they say: third time's a charm, right?
Exactly. All right, and I'm gonna go like 8, 9 in this episode.
This is 8, 9 for you. This is a 9 for me. Okay, yeah, but still very good.
I can't find anything wrong with it, but I don't like to get too high without.
You got to keep the scale. I don't know. I mean, I think the season is shaping up to be one of the best seasons of the Game of Thrones universe.
Yeah. The season is shaping up absolutely to be one of the best. So cannot wait for next week. We'll be covering it. So tune in Sunday around 10 o'clock next week for the
post show
live stream.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and tell us what you thought of House of the Dragon episode 6 down in the comments, and what are you most excited to see next week? Is it going to be the big dragon? I hear that the big dragon is going to do something. Is it Otto Hightower coming back? What's he going to do?
I'm excited for Vhagar next step.
It sounds like it could be an action-packed ep as well.
I think it will be.
So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.